The winning blueprint presents.
Welcome, you are in the lab room. I'm your host, Luke. Thank you for joining me. It's Monday, and man, it was a rough weekend, to say the least. I struggled this week, and as many of you probably did, it was tough. And I tell you what, if Sunday was any indication as to how Monday Night Football is going to go, it's going to be a rough game tonight as well. I expect the Steelers to handle the Chiefs with ease, but again, the way the weekend went, expect the unexpected at this point. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Chiefs hung around in this game. I don't expect them to win. I don't see the Chiefs, the 1-7 Kansas City Chiefs, going on the road to Pittsburgh and stealing a victory. I just don't see it happening. But man, it was a wacky weekend. We had a tie. We had 6 or 7 blowouts. I mean, it was just a crazy weekend. And then some of the blowouts were teams that you didn't expect it to come from. So, I mean, right now, as it stands, I believe I'm 7-5-1. It's just something crazy like that. It's been a weird week, to say the least. And now we have to start using the tie number at the end from now on for the rest of the season, because we have 2 teams with the tie. Just utter chaos over the weekend. Let's get right to it. Let's get into the weekend that was and go Slate Skatin.
The weekend that was. We're slate skating, we're slate skating, we're slate skating, we're slate skating.
Alright, so let's get right to it. Our first game up on the slate on Sunday was the Denver Broncos traveling to Carolina to take on the Panthers. And before we even get to any of the actual game happenings, I want to say that black on black that the Carolina Panthers had on with the Panthers blue socks, the teal socks, whatever color you want to call it, panther, blue, teal, aqua, whatever. It was a nice ensemble. I was really feeling the get up. And look, you look good, you play good. And so I thought these guys were going to come out. They had on the crisp unis. They were looking sharp. I was feeling the whole outfit. Thought they were going to come out and maybe do a little something. They come out first drive and they go down and they strike first. They get a touchdown to start the scoring off in this football game. Not necessarily on their first drive. They ended up punting on their first drive, but they got the first touchdown. They struck first blood in this game, 7-0. What proceeded to happen after they scored that first touchdown was what happens to bad football teams. They self-destruct. They don't really know how to take the success of winning a football game. And they went up 7-0 in this game, and the Denver Broncos, being the better team in this football game, proceeded to score 29 unanswered points. In that span, the Carolina Panthers missed a field goal, had a 76-yard Trenton Holiday punt return given up, went 3 and out 8 times consecutively, gave up a pick 6 to Tony Carter, who ran it in for a touchdown. You add all those things up, and you're in a 29-7 deficit. And that's insurmountable when you're not a good football team. That's almost insurmountable for most teams in the National Football League. You spot a team, a 22-point lead, hard to dig yourself up out of that hole in the fourth quarter. And the Broncos just proceeded to score points, and they won this one 36-14, going away. Peyton Manning again, flawless in his execution, out there having an MVP-like season. They did all the things it takes to win a game on the road. It really didn't turn it over. Of course, Willis McGahee, that's going to be an issue that the Broncos need to address moving forward. They're winning games right now, so everything gets swept under the rug again. Winning is the best smelling deodorant there is. So no one's going to complain about Willis McGahee fumbling the football, but somebody needs to get in his ear and say, look, if you keep putting it on the ground, you're going to find yourself on the bench. He's fumbling too often. I can't remember too many games this season the Broncos have played where Willis McGahee hasn't put the ball on the ground at some point. Maybe the Broncos didn't lose it, but he's put it on the ground. I'd be curious to look at his numbers and see where he ranks this season among fumbles with running backs who start on an NFL roster this season, because I think he's up there near the top, if not at the top, with most fumbles. We're not talking about fumbles lost. I'm just talking about fumbles in general. I think he's right up there atop that list because he seems to fumble more than any other back in the National Football League this season. Doesn't matter. Broncos get it done on the road, 36-14 against the Carolina Panthers, who, after winning a week ago at Washington, thought they could build on that momentum of a win. No, not going down. Broncos come into town, storm the Carolina Panthers, and come out with a 36-14 victory, taking their record to 6-3 on the season. Meanwhile, the Carolina Panthers dropped to 2-7 on the season. So we move on to our next matchup, which sees the New York Giants traveling to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals, and what I thought was an interesting matchup because the Giants are a team that annually struggles in the middle of the season. They always start off 6-1, 6-2, 6-3, and then they go into free fall mode, and you start to question whether the Giants are who you thought they were in the first 6, 7, 8 games of the season. Well, looks like that's happening again. Don't know if it's a little bit of wariness because they haven't had their bye yet, haven't had a chance to recharge the battery. I don't know what it is. I'm not here to make excuses for the Giants. All I know is just 2 weeks ago, they were atop the NFC East at 6-2 with not another team in sight. No one in the rearview mirror. No one to see behind them creeping up. All of a sudden now, 2 weeks later, 2 losses later, they're 6-4. Now the Cowboys are sneaking up behind them, and that's why I said that game against the Cowboys in Dallas just a few weeks ago was very important because at the time it didn't seem like much. I said, look, you know, you want to win this game because you want to split 1-1 with them so they can't say, hey, we swept you. All we have to do is tie you at the end of the season and we win a division. You want to keep that option open to be able to say, look, you want this division? You want to take it from me? You got to pry it from me. You got to be better than me. You can't just be tied with me and think you're going to take this division from me. You want this division? Go take it. But that win was very important. It was vital to the Giants' success this season. They got it done. But now, starting to look like it's really starting to come into play because now the Cowboys are sneaking up behind them. They're at 4-5, and we'll talk about their game a little bit later. But they're at 4-5 now, and the Giants are just a game and a half over these Cowboys because they're 6-4, and so you got to start wondering, is it the fatigue? I don't know. Not going to make excuses for them. All I'm saying is they better right the ship because they went into Cincinnati, and they were thoroughly dominated from the start of the game. Andy Dalton started this game out on the first possession, 3 for 3, 70 yards. All 7 of these yards, A.J. Green. What's your number one priority in the game if you're playing the Cincinnati Bengals? I'll give you a second to think about it. Stop A.J. Green. What did they let happen on the first possession? A.J. Green go off. A.J. Green, over the course of the week, was talking about holes in the Giants' defense and secondary and things of that nature. Wasn't trying to be derogatory. He was just stating the obvious. If you've watched the Giants at all this season, you know they can be had on defense. They can be had in their secondary. There are holes in this defense. And that's all he was saying. He wasn't trying to be negative, wasn't trying to call them out, wasn't trying to give them any kind of bulletin board material. He was just saying, look, yeah, I see some opportunities to make plays against this defense, and I'm going to try to do that. Well, what did he do on the first possession? 56-yard touchdown on a blown coverage by the Giants. And that kind of set the tone for the day. The Bengals stepped on the Giants' throats immediately, and they didn't let up. They did not take their foot off the gas pedal. They were desperate in this game. They couldn't afford a 5th consecutive loss because what that would have meant was season over. You drop 6 games this early in the season, your season is done. And they knew that. They came out with this sense of desperation. They played tough on defense. They really took it to the Giants. I thought they were out-coached in this game, out-physical, out-manned, out-hustled. And they were just a better team with the Cincinnati Bengals in this football game. They came into this game knowing they had to have a win, and they got it done. Hats off to them. The Giants are struggling right now. They're not clicking on offense. This offense looks anemic right now. They can't run the football. Eli Manning is having a hard time finding targets to throw the football to. I was very disappointed in Victor Cruz. I didn't see a lot of Victor Cruz in this game. Really thought he really focused in on trying to get the ball to Hakeem Nicks. didn't spread it around. I didn't see a lot of Martellus Bennett in this game. They just look out of sync due to the Giants on offense. This defense isn't making matters much better. They're having defensive breakdowns like the one they had on the first possession. They're allowing Jaron Hosley, for example, on a pivotal third down early in the football game. Bengals already in the red zone with an opportunity to score. They're going to get a field goal. Worst case scenario. It's third and about goal from probably the 9-yard line. I mean, it was a very tough situation for the Bengals to score. Andy Dalton is conceding the fact that, hey, they got us on this one. He throws an out route to Andrew Hawkins, who catches. He makes a one-hand stab, a fabulous catch. But all Jaron Hosley had to do was make the tackle. Instead, you know what he wants to do? He wants to gamble at the football and knock it down. For what? Know you're down in distance. It's third down. Whether he catches his pass or not makes no difference to you. You make the tackle, it's a field goal being kicked. Instead, you go for the dive and the knockdown. You miss the pass. What happens? He walks in the end zone, 14-0 instead of 10-0. That's a big difference in this game. And that's what the Giants are doing right now. They're just struggling with the mental aspect of the game. They're not here, and that's why I feel like this bye couldn't have come any sooner for the Giants. They needed this bye. It's on the horizon. They're on their bye this week, and they need it desperately because they struggled in this game. Bengals took it to them from the start to the finish, and they got it done 31-13 in this football game, taking their record to 4-5 on the season, dropping the Giants to 6-4 on the season. And if you're the Giants, you got to turn this thing around. If you're a Giants fan, if you're Eli Manning, if you're O.C. Umenyiora, you're Justin Tuck, you're Ahmad Bradshaw, you're all the guys who've been here, Tom Coughlin. If you've seen this story before, you're saying, here we go again. Because this is what it seems like you do annually. You start the season off blistering hot at a pace that sets the bar high in the NFC East. You turn around and look back to see if anyone else in the NFC East is even close, which most cases they're not. And you start to kind of relax, and then that's when trouble starts. And so you got to start revving it back up and playing the football that got you that 6-2 mark to start this season off. Going into this bye, you got a lot of work to do. Get away from it for a week, come back and energized and ready to go and figure this thing out, because if you don't, you're going to find yourself in another one of these battles come the end of the season where you have to find a way to eke out the division in a season where you had this division locked up after 9 weeks. Looking at the Bengals, big win for them. They needed this one. They don't get this win. They drop to 3-6. Goodbye. See you next year for the Cincinnati Bengals. Instead, they showed a lot of resiliency. They knew what was at stake. They came out. They got it done. And now they're at 4-5 on the season, right in the middle of things in the AFC, because this AFC is wide open. All you got to do is win football games and give yourself a chance. That's what the Bengals did on Sunday, and now they're 4-5 on the season, 31-13 victory over the Giants. Now they have a shot. You look at the Tennessee Titans traveling to Miami to take on the Dolphins in what was probably the biggest surprise of the weekend, hands down. No one saw this beating of epic proportions coming by way of the Tennessee Titans. If anyone was going to get a beat down, it was going to be the Titans. They're the ones who normally get beat up. You know, they had players come out and say, look, we're tired of getting beat up. We're tired of being the ones that are losing by 30-plus points. We're tired of being everyone's punching bag. We have to show some resilience. And that's what they did in this game. They came in, and I thought with Jake Locker coming back, they're going to have to take a step back. I just thought that was the natural progression for this team. You get a quarterback who hasn't played in about 4, 5, 6 weeks, hasn't played, and he's a young guy. This is his first time starting this season. You're going to have to take a step back. Everybody's going to have to get back on the same page with him, build a rapport with him again. Things were going to have to go in reverse. Go back one step to go 2 steps forward is what I thought was going to have to happen. And I thought this was going to be the 1 step backwards game, to go 2 steps forward. But I was wrong. There was no backwards movement here. It was just go forward. And he came in. He didn't have a world beater game. He didn't light it up. He only had 9 completions with 22 attempts. His numbers weren't staggering, but what he did was he controlled the pace of this game with his legs. He made the throws when he needed to, and I thought that they controlled the game with their running attack, did the Titans in this football game, whether it be Jake Locker with his legs. He really hurt the Dolphins with his legs in this one. And then you look at Chris Johnson. He's back to that form where you can start to say, he's back. Now, I can't give him back the CJ2K moniker yet. Nope, can't give it back to you. I'm yanking it back. Not going to give that to you quite yet, but what I will do is say that you are damn close to having that back in your corner, because I'm starting to see everything that made you one of the top flight backs in the National Football League. You're getting it done, and you got it done again in Miami on Sunday. Helped your team to a victory. Looking at the Dolphins, they just struggled in this game. They just struggled mightily. I thought Reggie Bush had a big fumble in this game early on, kind of set the tone. Titans scored a touchdown off of that fumble, never really looked back. And they just really self-destructed in this game. After Ryan Tannehill, after me praising him for not turning the football over with an interception since week 4, he came out and he looked like he regressed. He looked like the Ryan Tannehill we saw in the first 4 weeks of the season versus the Ryan Tannehill we had seen for the last 5 weeks. And so he throws 3 interceptions in this game. He really struggles. The Dolphins turn it over 4 times, including a tipped pass that Colin McCarthy picks off, takes it to the house, which really kind of cemented the game for the Titans early on, kind of let you know this was one of those days that the Dolphins weren't going to be able to overcome the amount of mistakes that they had made early on. And really, I was not in favor of that benching of Reggie Bush in this game. Joe Philbin, I thought, took it a little too far. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Don't want to spend a lot of time on that right now, but I didn't think that was the right thing to do. And they really just got shellacked at home. I was so disappointed in this Dolphins team because they had been playing good football of late. You know, just 2 weeks ago, they were going into a game against the Colts at 4-3 with a chance to elevate to 5-3 on the season. They don't get it done, and you're thinking, okay, well, you're still going home. You had played on the road for a while there. You've been doing some damage on the road. Time to come home, get some home cooking. You can right the ship. You have the Titans right here who are 3-5 on the season, haven't been playing that good of football of late. You can right the ship. Just go home and get it done. Don't care if it's by 1 or 3 or by 14. Just win the game. And not only did they not win the game, but they weren't even close in this game. They were dominated from start to finish, and it makes you question, who are these Dolphins? Who are you? Are you the Dolphins team that played from weeks 5 through 9? Are you the Dolphins team that we saw on Sunday and the Dolphins team that we saw from weeks 1 to 4? I'm not sure anymore. And that's what the NFL does to you. It reminds you on a weekly basis. This is a fluid league, meaning it's a week-to-week league. That's why we love it. The parity exists. May not exist when we get to the postseason because you know 1 of 5 teams have a legitimate shot at winning the postseason. Whether, there's turnover like there always is in the playoffs where, 6 teams don't make it who made it the year before. But we know when the playoffs start, those new teams that make it to the playoffs generally don't have a shot. It's the same 4 or 5 teams that we've come accustomed to. The Steelers, Patriots, Ravens. It's the same. The Giants, the Packers, the same teams that we always see in the playoffs are usually the ones that get it done and have a chance to win the Super Bowl. But during the regular season, there's parity. That's what makes this league what it is. And the Titans reminded us of that on Sunday that, look, haven't been playing the best of football. Hell, we got blown out last week. We gave up 50 points last week. Doesn't mean a thing this week as we come out and we blow out a team on the road 37-3, as the Titans did, taking care of business on the road against a Dolphins team that just needed to win to get back over 500, and they couldn't do it. They dropped to 4-5 on the season, and what a difference 2 weeks make. They had a chance to go to 5-3 on the season. They drop that game. They come home. They get embarrassed, and now they're 4-5 on the season, asking what if. Meanwhile, the Titans are happy to be at 4-5. Just a week ago, they were the laughingstock of the NFL, giving up 51 points, not even having a chance after the first quarter a week ago, giving up 51 points. They're happy to be at 4-5. They get the win, and Jake Locker came out, got it done, and now they're going to try to build off of what they were able to do against the Dolphins on Sunday. All right, so our next game leads us to Minnesota, where the Minnesota Vikings were taking care of some family business against the Detroit Lions, who they'd already played once this season before, and the Vikings were able to go on the road to Detroit and handle the Lions. So now they're coming home for the second half of that divisional matchup. They handled their family business at home. And I was very impressed with the third-round selection out of Arkansas, who hadn't played all season to this point. Vikings activated him for the first time this season, and he went in and he made his presence felt on their first opening touchdown drive. He had 2 catches on that drive. with one of them being a touchdown catch. The first one being a about 47-yard catch down to about the 1 yard line, 2-3 yard line, which set up his 3 or 2 or 1 yard touchdown reception. And so just like that, you knew who Jarius Wright was. If you didn't know before, you had to figure it out very quickly because he was making plays and helping. And that's what the Vikings need. They need other options. They need guys to be able to throw the football to. No Percy Harvin in this game. Jarius Wright steps up. Now they see, hey, we got another guy when Percy comes back. If Jarius Wright can give us something, add him to the mix with Jerome Simpson and sprinkle in a little bit of Kyle Rudolph, we might have something on offense now. And that's all you can ask for if you're the Vikings. Give Christian Ponder more targets to throw the football to. Thought that an early interception by Matthew Stafford in this game led to another field goal. These are the things you can't have happen on the road. And they ended up with a 10-0 lead after that. And the Lions scratched and clawed in this game, and they gave themselves a chance. You look up the scoreboard, it's 24-17, Vikings ahead. But the Lions finally get the ball after scratching and clawing the whole game. They finally get the football back with a chance to tie the game up. And what do? Go 3 and out. You can't have that happen if you want to win on the road. You get an opportunity, you got to seize that opportunity. They didn't do that. And then right after they didn't get it done, guess what happens? Adrian Peterson says, you don't want it? We'll take it. And he takes off on a 64-yard touchdown scamper. It basically pounds that nail in the coffin of the Detroit Lions in this football game as the Minnesota Vikings were able to get it done at home against these Detroit Lions, 34-24. Now, in a losing effort, Calvin Johnson went bananas, and that's what they need from him. Starting in this game, I want to see Calvin Johnson become a bigger part of this offense, like we're accustomed to seeing. I think in this season so far, Calvin Johnson has been the missing link, the reason why they can't score points. He didn't score a touchdown in this game until later on in garbage time when they were trying to make a game of it. But nonetheless, he got in the end zone. Let's see if that can jumpstart the rest of this season for Calvin Johnson. He had 12 receptions, 13 receptions for over 200 yards. He's a monster in this game. But it didn't amount to a victory. As the Vikings, they were just all around good in this game. And that's what the Vikings have been when they've won this season. They've been all around good. When the Vikings have won in their 6 games that they've won this season, they've been the better team. They've done things in the course of the game that makes you think, yeah, they're the better football team in this game. And that's what they did on Sunday against the Lions. You look at Christian Ponder's number. They win the game, and Christian Ponder was very efficient and effective. Doesn't surprise you, does it? That Christian Ponder plays well, the Vikings win. When he doesn't play well, the Vikings lose. Is there a correlation there? I think there is. You look at Christian Ponder's numbers in this game. 24 of 32, 222 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. That's all the Vikings are looking for out of Christian Ponder. They're not asking him to be Brett Favre. They're not asking for him to be Fran Tarkenton. They just want him to come in, augment the running game. Adrian Peterson is on an MVP pace. They're not asking you, Christian Ponder, to be a Hall of Fame quarterback. They just want you to help this running game along by not turning it over and making passes and completions and plays when they're there to be made. If a guy's running open, hit him. If it's 3rd and 6, pick it up. If you got to use your legs like you did in this game, which I think you haven't been doing of late, which you need to do more of, run. Get it. The Vikings just need you to be effective. Whether it's with your legs, your arm, they don't care. Just be effective, and that's what you were. 24 of 32, 222 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. You look at Adrian Peterson, 24 carries, 171 yards. This man is a beast. He deserves to be Adrian Peterson. That's what he's doing to defenses. Just going out and absolutely blowing up on them. And he took off on this Lions defense down the sideline, couldn't catch him. And he was breaking tackles, just looking like the AD of old. He right now has people questioning whether he's better now than he was before the knee surgery. Whoever questions that in the NFL? This isn't Tommy John surgery. This isn't a pitcher getting a stronger arm after surgery. This is a running back coming back from an ACL injury. You don't get stronger after ACL injury. You just hope to come back and be somewhat of what you were before you got injured. We're talking about him being possibly better than he was before. Only Adrian Peterson, I swear, only Adrian Peterson. And then the Vikings forced 2 turnovers in this game, and when they were winning, they were forcing turnovers. Efficient on offense, forcing turnovers, taking care of the football. That was the winning formula for the Vikings earlier in the season. That was the winning formula on Sunday as they get it done, 34-24, taking their record to 6-4 on the season, and they needed this one. They needed this one in the worst way because they could start to feel this thing slipping out of their grasp. You know, they had started the season off 5-2, 5-1, and they could start to see the thing, you know, throughout the 3 straight losses. They were starting to see this thing slip away. You can start to see it slip away when you lose 3 straight. That's what happened to this Vikings team. They righted the ship at home against a divisional foe, handled some family business, and now all of a sudden, everything is all right in Minnesota. They're 6-4. Lions, this is a tough one because you were playing good football. You had fought and scratched and clawed your way back to 500 at 4-4, only to have the Vikings knock you down a peg, back under 500. Now you're 4-5 on the season. And if you're the Lions, that was a tough one. Because if you're able to get over 500 at this point, after the season you've had to this point, early on struggling and turning it up of late, you get over 500, now you're a relevant player in the NFC. At this point, 5 losses, the way the NFC is shaping up with all these teams winning football games, don't know if you're going to be able to overcome all of the teams ahead of you, including the Minnesota Vikings, who have swept you this season. So if you finish tied with them, there's no way that you can elevate yourself over them because they beat you twice this season. So tough one for the Lions on the road. They drop it 24-34. Looking at the next game up on the slate, this was an absolute annihilation. Total debacle. The Oakland Raiders traveled to Baltimore to take on the Ravens in a game that many of us knew wasn't going to be close, but we didn't expect it to get out of hand the way it did. The Ravens weren't playing that great a defense of late, and so you thought maybe the Raiders, who had been scoring points lately, would have a chance. But must you keep in mind who the Raiders have been playing of late? Jacksonville, Kansas City, Tampa Bay. These aren't teams that are competing for the number 1 spot in terms of defense in the National Football League. We're talking about, you know, bottom half of the league in defense and all of these teams that they played. And so they were scoring points, but they were scoring points on lesser opponents. You come up against the Ravens in this game, and it got ugly. It got ugly in a hurry. This was a game that I said I was the least intrigued with coming into the weekend, and they showed exactly why. There was not much to see here. This was one of those, hey, move along, not much to see here games, where the Ravens just showed up and said, look, we play Baltimore Ravens football. We don't self-destruct. We don't do the things that have kept teams in previous weeks in the game like we did against the Browns. We'll be fine. We'll beat this Raiders team up. And the Raiders said, look, we'll take care of the self-destructing part. You just take care of your end of the bargain, which is playing Baltimore Ravens football. We'll do the self-destructing. You just play Baltimore Ravens football, and that'll be it. You saw where this thing was going early on where the Raiders, only the Raiders do this. 4th and 1, they go for it. And Carson Palmer gets stepped on by his offensive lineman, falls down, and doesn't even get to execute a play. When's the last time you've seen a 4th and 1 play botched because an offensive lineman steps on his quarterback's foot? I don't know if I've ever seen that happen, where on 4th down you go for it and you don't even get a playoff because your quarterback falls to the ground and has to take a sack because he got stepped on by his offensive lineman. Only the Raiders could do that. Only the Raiders. And this game just went south. And the Raiders never really had a shot in this game. And the Ravens jumped on them early and often. I thought that the offense looked crisp. Joe Flacco was really playing good football in this game. They were able to run the ball with Ray Rice, sprinkled in a little bit of Bernard Pierce. I mean, they did everything they needed to do. The defense still has questions. Ed Reed missed a few tackles, led to some touchdowns in this game. Poor tackling on the part of the Ravens. Guys gave up a few plays, but they did so much on special teams and offense. Jacoby Jones has been one of the best. You know, we've talked about Vincent Jackson's acquisition in Tampa Bay. Right behind him is Jacoby Jones in Baltimore. He's been stellar for the Ravens in his acquisition in the offseason. And he's been a monster on special teams, and he's added an element on offense as well. And he continued his stellar play on special teams in his game with a 105-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. The Ravens had it going on all cylinders. Every single facet of the game, they had it covered. They checked off the boxes. They win this game 55-20. Wasn't close. Wasn't even as close as the score indicates. This game was ugly. It was ugly from the start. The Raiders tried their hardest to make it competitive, but even when they would, make headway, they just give it right back up. They never stood a chance in this game. Ravens got it done. Elevate their record to 7-2 on the season. Meanwhile, the Raiders, who once had hope at 3-4, are now 3-6 on the season. Back in their rightful spot among the worst teams in the AFC. They get it. They understand now they're not a good football team, and you'll start to see the Raiders probably go downhill from here. They had their apex of their season after winning 2 straight against some really bad competition. They did what they were supposed to do. They beat the Chiefs. They beat the Jaguars in consecutive weeks. That was the apex, and now it's starting to come back down. That's what you get when you're an Oakland Raiders fan. But I will say this. They have things going in the right direction, although they were very undisciplined in this game. A lot of penalties. They looked like the Raiders of old in that department. But nonetheless, Ravens get it done 55-20, 7-2 on the season now. Raiders 3-6. They drop another one on the road. They go home next week, see if they can get it done against the Saints. Next up on the docket, going through the weekend that was, here's another game and another prime example of you just don't know. It's a week-to-week league. It's fluid. This league is fluid. You just don't know. And although this was family business, we didn't expect it to go the way that it did. Now, look, the team that was supposed to win won. So you still say, okay, sigh of relief. But if you pick this as your sole survivor, you had to sweat it out. And this is what I mean by being careful with what you pick. Because you just don't know, especially if it's family business. I always tell you, be careful. Stay away if at all possible when it's family business, because things like this can happen. The Buffalo Bills traveled to New England on Sunday to take on the Patriots in what was supposed to be a drubbing. The Patriots were supposed to be coming off of a bye. They're supposed to be feeling good, getting healthy. Guys like Gronkowski were supposed to be feeling good, healthy, coming off of that bye week. The Bills came off of another loss a week ago. It wasn't even close against the Texans. So you're thinking they're coming into this game limping, losers of, 2 straight. They come into this game limping, no shot. The Patriots they're being served up here as a sacrificial lamb to the Patriots. That's what you thought. That's what I thought coming into this game. I can't speak for you. I can speak for myself. That's what I thought was going to occur in this game. Bill showed me again that, look, we're not afraid of the Patriots. Everybody else in this division might be. We're not. I don't care who the Patriots think they are, but we can play the Patriots tough, and if we get our act together one day, we'll actually be able to beat the Patriots. But until then, we'll just continue to play the Patriots close and scare the hell out of them. And that's what they did. They played a very solid football game. I was very impressed with, 1, I was impressed with the running game. 2, I was somewhat impressed with Ryan Fitzpatrick. Every time you want to quit on Ryan Fitzpatrick and say, look, you're not the man for the job. You heard Buddy Nix, the GM of the Buffalo Bills, start to hint at the fact that, hey, we're looking at quarterbacks to draft in this upcoming draft. And you say, yeah, it makes sense. Ryan Fitzpatrick is not the guy for the job. He's not getting it done. And I'll definitely second that motion to start looking for quarterbacks in the draft. If you're a Buffalo fan, that's the way you probably feel right about now. Then here he goes, showing up, giving you a chance to beat the Patriots. And I thought this run game was dynamic. I love this two-headed monster of C.J. Spiller and Fred Jackson. Spiller is so dynamic. He's starting to show us what we saw at Clemson. Every time he touches the ball, he's a threat. He's a threat because he's slippery, he's shifty, he's got speed out of this world, and he changes gears like that. He can take it from 0 to 60 in no time. And he'll run right by you, and I just love what C.J. Spiller brings to the game. Fred Jackson, it looks like he's lumbering, it looks like he's not doing anything. And then all of a sudden, Fred Jackson ends up in the end zone. But again, in typical Bills fashion, they find a way to lose games. Fred Jackson fumbles at the 1-yard line. Ryan Fitzpatrick throws the game-clinching interception when they're in the red zone. Can't have these things happen if you're the Bills. And that's what the Bills do against the Patriots. That's what the Bills do in general, is that they find a way to lose games. Where other teams that are good find ways to win, the Bills find ways to lose. And that's why they're not a good football team. But they gave it a maximum effort in this game. I mean, they really did something that I didn't think they were going to be able to do, and that was keep pace with this Patriots offense. I mean, every time you thought the Patriots were starting to pull away, here come the Bills, whether it be a touchdown or 10 unanswered points. Every time you thought the Patriots was about to run away with this game, Bills said, not today. We're going to stay close, give ourselves a chance, and who knows, maybe we'll be able to pull it out in the end, which they weren't. But look, these are the games that makes this season tough to pick, because you may have won this game this week, but just last week, looking at the Thursday night game this week, which is the Dolphins traveling to Buffalo to take on the Bills, that was a no-brainer just 2 weeks ago. That was a no-brainer last week. Miami's going to go into Buffalo and beat these Bills who are struggling. Now you look at this week, Miami gets throttled at home. Buffalo goes on the road and puts up a valiant effort against the Patriots. Now what do? That's what this league does to you. It's hard to wrap your brain around what this league can do to you because you just don't know. Now what do you do on Thursday night? I don't know. I'm struggling right now. Don't ask me. I don't know what I'm going to do. I got a couple of days to mull over it and figure it out. I'll figure out something, but I don't know what I'm going to do. And that's the beauty of this league, but that's also the gift and the curse. The gift of thinking you know and the curse of finding out you really have no idea. But nonetheless, the Patriots were able to hold on in this football game. Brady was his normal, surgical self. He got it done, found Danny Woodhead, found Brandon Lloyd, found Wes Welker, found Gronkowski. He did what Tom Brady normally does. This defense did just enough. This Patriots defense is not that good. They're not good. And if you have an offense and you play a semblance of defense, you got a legitimate shot at beating these Patriots. Bills just couldn't get it done. They made too many mistakes. The fumble by Fred Jackson at the 1-yard line. The Fitzpatrick interception in the end zone. You're not going to get it done fumbling and turning the ball over right around the end zone. Can't do it. And so the Bills fall to the New England Patriots 31-37. Bills drop to 3-6 on the season. Meanwhile, the New England Patriots elevate their record to 6-3 on the season. Remember when everyone in this division was 3-3? Remember that? But now the Patriots have won 3 straight. The Bills have lost 3 straight. The Jets have lost 3 straight. And the Dolphins have lost 2 out of 3. So just like that, when everybody was tied at 3, everybody had a shot in the AFC East. Now the Patriots have said, look, we're the alpha male here. We're the best team. Let us show you really fast that you guys aren't winning the division. If you thought you had a shot, let's just dispel that notion right now. We're the best team. We're getting the ticket to the dance out of this division. No one else is coming to the dance but us, just to let you know. So in case you had your hopes up, going to go ahead and squash them right now. And so now the Patriots are 6-3. Everyone else is kind of going south. Looking at the next game on the slate, the San Diego Chargers traveled to Tampa Bay to take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in what I thought was going to be a very entertaining game, and I was correct. It's a very entertaining game, a lot of points being scored, which is what I expected. And what's rule number 1, everyone? You don't trust the San Diego Chargers. San Diego Superchargers. You don't trust them. And you know why you don't trust them? Because you're going to get some kind of mental blunder at some point in this game, whether it be a special teams mental breakdown or a Phillip Rivers mental breakdown or a Ryan Matthews. I'll sprinkle some of him in there. Or a Ryan Matthews fumble. You don't know which one it's going to be. You're going to get one at some point in that game, and you're going to lose that football game. So I always tell you, and I caution you, every week, in case you forget, you can't trust the San Diego Chargers. That's rule number 1. If you don't remember anything else I say, you don't trust the San Diego Chargers. So what do? You go into this game and you look and you say, hey, they're on the road. They're playing a hot Tampa Bay Buccaneers team who's scoring points. They're getting it done on offense. Are the Chargers going to really be able to go into Tampa Bay and get it done? At the beginning of this game, it was really looking like that was going to be the case. Phillip Rivers was on fire. He was lighting them up. And I mean, we're talking 3 touchdowns in the first half. He's fighting guys wide open. He's spreading the ball around. I mean, we had 3 different guys score touchdowns in this game. First possession. They just picked up Denario Alexander off the street about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Blew the dust off of him, shined him up real nice, put him on the field. Boom, 80-yard touchdown on the first possession. Couple of missed tackles by the Bucs, and he's off to the races, scores a touchdown. Just like that, it's 7-0. If you're the Buccaneers, you need to respond. That's a tough way to give up a touchdown early in this ball game. What do the Bucs do? They respond. This is what this Buccaneers offense has been doing of late. Scoring points, responding when they need to respond to make sure that this defense mentally stays in the football game. They know we still have a shot because this offense is going to score. And that's what a good offense can do for you. It can pick you up. And that's what good teams do. That's what teams who are trying to make something of themselves do. They pick each other up. Defense has a letdown, offense go and pick me up. Defense has a letdown, special teams pick me up. Defense and offense have a letdown, special teams pick me up. Special teams have a letdown, defense or offense or both pick me up. And that's what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did in this football game. Defense gives up an 80-yard touchdown on the first possession. Okay, fine, don't worry about it. Offense goes right down the field, touchdown. Tie the ball game up. Phillip Rivers takes his team right back down the field, scores a touchdown, and this thing is looking like, I don't know, these Chargers are scoring points. Phillip Rivers is looking really impressive right now. What do? Block a punt. Do the special teams of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tie the ball game up. Get back in the game. Phillip Rivers takes his team right back down the field. This time to Gates in the end zone. One other time to Michael Floyd in the end zone. And they were scoring points. This was going to be a shootout. At one point, Phillip Rivers was 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. He was shredding this Buccaneers defense up. But what do the Buccaneers do? They fight. They stay close. They get a field goal. They stay close. They're like, look, we're not letting you out of our sights. Because when you decide to make that monumental mistake, we're going to be there to capitalize, and we're not looking back. And so they just stay close. Found a way to keep pace with this San Diego Chargers team. Ultimately taking the lead 24-21. Phillip Rivers says, no, you don't. You don't run away from me. They go down the field. They're driving for points. And then it happens. That one mistake every week we get from the San Diego Chargers that forces me to tell you every single week, don't trust the San Diego Chargers. Phillip Rivers rolls out, has no one to throw to, inexplicably tries to throw it back across his body. We already know Phillip Rivers has a pop gun arm. We already know that. Don't know what he was thinking. Inexcusably decides, I'm going to chuck it back across my body right to a Tampa Bay Buccaneers defender named Leonard Johnson, who decides to take that ball and race about 70 yards down the field for a touchdown. Game changer. That's what we call a game changer. Bonehead decision by Phillip Rivers. He does it once a week. This one cost them the game. The Bucs take a 10-point lead at that point, and they don't really look back. They end up winning this game by 10. Phillip Rivers goes on to throw another interception. After starting the game, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. He finished up with 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. That's what Phillip Rivers does. He puts his team in the ball game, and then he takes his team out of the ball game. And that's why you can't pick the San Diego Chargers. They go on the road, and they drop it to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are scoring points. They scored 34 more on Sunday. 34-24. Buccaneers get it done. Now, all of a sudden, shh, don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody. But the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 5-4 on the season. Don't look now. Don't look. Don't look now. Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 5-4 on the season after being 1-3 going into their bye. That is a remarkable turnaround by this Tampa Bay Buccaneers football team. Remarkable. They're scoring points. They're giving themselves a chance every single week. This is a dangerous ball club. You don't want to play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because they're scoring points now. You got to outscore them. And that's hard to do because they're scoring up over 30 every week. You're not careful, it'll get to the 40s. And impressive win by the Buccaneers in a game where they didn't have it. They didn't have it necessarily on defense. but they made the plays necessary on special teams, on offense, and even on defense. When it needed to be made, they made the plays that got them the victory. They win this one 34-24. They're now 5-4 in the season. Meanwhile, San Diego Chargers had a chance to get over 500 to 5-4. They dropped to 4-5 on the season.